In this video, I will present a short history of encouraging psychotherapy clients to express their emotions. Then I'll discuss difficulties deep feeling therapists encounter while using this method. And in the last part of the video, I will present my therapeutic experience and observations of the factors and conditions that help clients to express their feelings through tears and crying in a beneficial, resolving way. The history of psychotherapy began with Freud and Breuer's ideas that the cause of neurosis lies in repressed painful emotions and that it can be healed by releasing those emotions related to specific events in patient's life. They call this process chimney sweeping, as one of their patients termed it, and they refer to it as abreaction. The entire process of helping the patient recall unpleasant events and react to them in a way they couldn't at the time, Freud and Breuer conducted under hypnosis, documenting their observations and conclusions in their book Studies on Hysteria in 1895. However, Freud soon became disillusioned with this idea because, as appealing as it sounded, it did not yield reliable results in practice, as new symptoms appeared in patients shortly after the old ones disappeared. Freud not only rejected hypnosis, but also the concept of treating through abreaction. Despite some psychoanalysts returning to the idea of expressing emotions, for example Ferenczi, Reich, psychoanalysis largely distanced itself from the concept of usefulness of abreaction, catharsis, and the expression of painful emotions. Humanistic psychotherapists reintroduced this idea on a large scale from the 1960s onwards through so-called encounter groups and methods and techniques of Gestalt therapy, body therapies, radix therapy, primal therapy, etc. Since they did not believe in a dark and wild entity like psychoanalytic id, but in the true and false self, they allowed and encouraged clients to express their painful feelings, to reach their true selves, which are inherently authentic, good, cooperative, and constructive. The most prominent example of humanistic teachings about the true and false self, stating that neurosis results from the dominance of the unreal self over the real self, that the unreal self keeps emotions suppressed, and that breaking through the defenses of the unreal self allows the client to connect with their real self, enabling them to free themselves from the grip of neurosis and thus heal, was the primal theory and therapy of Arthur Janov, revealed in his famous book The Primal Scream in the 1970s. However, simultaneously with the significant successes of primal therapy, failures also emerged, about which Janov spoke little at the time, but which we now know much more about. Janov soon noticed that conducting successful primal therapy was not as straightforward as it initially seemed. It was observed that cathartic experiences in therapy, which Janov referred to as primals, could be more or less effective. An unexperienced observer might not see any difference between multiple such therapeutic experiences, as they all involved crying, shouting, deep breathing, body convulsions, with the patients usually lying on soft surfaces and experiencing it all. Although primals could be more or less noisy or tumultuous, sometimes very quiet, it was noted that they had different therapeutic effects. Some had an almost miraculous therapeutic effects, complete loss of symptoms, a flood of spontaneous insights, a drop of heart rate, a decrease in blood pressure, a drop in body temperature, deep relaxation, and positive changes in the patient's life. Other primals had a partial effect, with some positive and some negative indicators, while some had only a negative effects, making things worse for the patients. This is precisely the challenge faced today by all therapists dealing with helping clients become aware of and experience their long suppressed feelings, deep feeling therapies, including primal therapists. However, if you think that this problem exists only in psychotherapeutic practice, you're mistaken. This is a problem faced by almost all people. Just think about what people say about their emotional experiences. I cried and I felt much better. Or, tears cleanse the soul. Conversely, there's also the opposite perspective. Crying is useless, it doesn't help. Or, whenever I cry, I feel even worse. There is also the in-between. When I cry, I feel better in a way, and in another way, worse. In art, the crucial value and significance of authentic cathartic experiences are also recognized, and artists, writers, directors, musicians, etc., generally distinguish them well from false emotional experiences, forced and pathetic crocodile tears. So, in everyday human experience, as well as in psychotherapeutic practice, the same problem exists. Why do people who surrender to their emotions and cry sometimes feel better, sometimes mixed, and sometimes worse? Examining this phenomenon based on my extensive psychotherapeutic experience, I believe that the result of tears and crying depends on several factors. First, what is the context in which someone emotionally reacts, and how appropriate is that emotional reaction to that context? For example, if crying is instrumental, that is, an attempt to gain something through tears, it is usually exaggerated and forced. Such cathartic experiences do not have a therapeutic effect. Second, is the traumatic situation resolved in reality, or is it still unresolved? An unfinished, unresolved, threatening situation cannot be responded to in an emotionally resolving manner. Third, what thoughts does the person have while crying? Are they positive thoughts, love, forgiveness, gratitude, understanding, or negative, self-blame, hatred, guilt, shame, blaming others, etc.? Negative thoughts while crying don't give good results. It is best for the client to focus on the unmet childhood emotional need that underlies the pain, which is a significant discovery of Janov. Fourth, if you bite off, that is, initiate more pain than you can chew, that is, integrate and experience at that moment, then you will emotionally get stuck. That is, you won't be able to resolve that feeling. Fifth, if you have had a good, positive, pleasant period of life just before something triggers your tears, it helps in successfully resolving that painful experience, and you feel good afterward. Sixth, if while crying about something you don't add something else that was painful, then the resolution experience will be purer and more beneficial. Your therapist or the person listening to you should say, "Don't add anything else to your pain. This is another feeling." Seventh, if you had a beautiful childhood and real family life, it will help you successfully shed tears for later painful events. Eighth, if your current life as an adult is good, that is, you're independent, have a job, a partner, it provides a good framework for your tears to be beneficial. Ninth, if you are not crying because of symptoms, but because of the cause of the pain, then it's better and more effective. 10th, if you are optimistic about yourself, your life, other people, and the world you live in, it can also set a positive tone for your pain experience and help your tears have a beneficial effects. Of course, a prerequisite for all these factors and conditions is the ability to fully surrender to the poignant feeling that emerges, not inhibiting it due to hesitation, fear, or shame. You must completely enter into the poignant emotion fully. Can we compose one factor from all these factors and conditions that we can say is crucial and most important? Let's try. For tears or crying to have a positive effect, it is necessary for a person to have a positive self-image, to love themselves, to see in the traumatic event what they have lost, and to fully surrender to the experience of that loss with an awareness that it is one pain in the sea of satisfaction with their life. Tears and crying bring healing, provided these factors and conditions are respected. Without them, tears and crying do not bring improvement. They can even bring stiffness, headaches, a sense of tension, unresolved issues, unpleasant thoughts, a feeling of despair, and being stuck. A good, effective experience of pain accompanied by tears is subjectively experienced as a significant psychological resolution, relief, purification, ease, a sense of inner connection, clarity, and liberated new energy.